Hey guys! By the time you see this video, I will probably be frantically packing and preparing to board my flight. Yes, I am traveling for real this time. Well, not exactly traveling. I am moving back to China. Okay, it's not that dramatic. It's not like I'm never coming back to Canada. But I will be away for a while this time. Just so you know, I booked a one-way ticket, so we'll see where life takes me. I've been avoiding traveling for the past year because, you know, traveling during COVID is really difficult and I don't want to be a burden to the system. I wanted to wait until things got better, but things didn't get better. And at this point, I haven't been home for 2 years. So I've finally decided to move. As of May this year, I have been living in Canada on my own for exactly 10 years. And I think this is the perfect opportunity for me to open up and share with you what my experience in Canada is really like. Everyone's life experiences are different, of course. This is only from my point of view, so just keep that in mind. I want to start with why I came to Canada in the first place. Long story short, it was a random decision I made when I was 18 years old. Okay, so I was in my last year of high school, and at that point, I didn't even have any plan to move abroad. I went to Shenzhen Foreign Languages School, and my high school had this program called the Green Path, which would allow me to get into University of Toronto directly if I passed their exam. But again, I had no plan to participate in that program whatsoever. However, 2 days before the exam, I suddenly decided I wanted to participate. And at that point, other people had been preparing for the exam for at least 2 months. I had 2 days. So all I could prepare for was a pen. I took my pen and went to the exam. I happened to pass the exam, and here I am. So yeah, not planned at all. It was pretty much a rushed decision. When I first came here, I was sent to the U of T Scarborough campus, which is not the main campus most people know of. It was very remote, not what I expected at all, so I worked my ass off and transferred to the St. George campus, which is the main campus. The experience was completely different, of course, especially the overall surroundings. U of T St. George is gorgeous. It's known to be the Hogwarts of Canada. But I have to tell you, the workload was pretty hardcore, so I barely even had time to enjoy all the beauty around me. I was either studying in a library that looks like a prison, or studying in my dorm. I know, classic Asian student. I double majored in drama and economics. I know, not a usual combination, but it was interesting to experience both sides. My economics lectures were usually held in big classrooms with hundreds of people, so you don't really get to know your classmates or even your professors. So if you have any questions, you better chase down your professors after class or catch them in their office hours. Yeah, I was that student. On the contrary, my drama classes, especially my acting classes, were very small because you need to audition to get in. We only had like 12 people per class. I was the only non-native speaker in my acting class, so it was a bit challenging, especially when you're dealing with this dude called Shakespeare. But I think overall, being immersed in the environment actually helped me improve my English a lot. Aside from that, I was also involved in a lot of extracurricular activities when I was in university. For example, theater productions outside of my schoolwork, like so. And for Chinese international students, we also have things like the Chinese Undergraduate Association. I was actually never a part of the association, but I hosted shows for them.
美丽气质呢？美丽气质，那就是女神啊！女神，我喜欢。就是她挥一挥手，带走一片男人那种。谢谢男人，甜美可爱呢，谢谢，展示一下。臣妾做不到，就是，欧巴。
One thing I didn't do in university was co-op or internships. If you want to find a good job after you graduate, that's kind of essential, which we'll discuss next. Like I just said, if you have co-op or internship experiences during university, it's going to be a lot easier for you to get a job after graduation. I didn't. I spent all my university years doing this. So yeah, I kind of had to make things up. Luckily, I did have a lot of experiences doing random shit, like those extracurricular activities I just mentioned, so I was able to put together a convincing resume. Aside from your previous work experiences, of course the employer will also look at what you studied and your grades. I was a nerd, so luckily I got that part covered. And I also had a unique advantage of being fluent in 3 languages: English, Mandarin, and Cantonese. Yes, that's considered 3 languages in Canada. Well, the best way to find a job is through referral, but I didn't have anyone to refer me, so I just applied on my own. I applied for anything I could find, like literally throwing shit on the wall. It took me a month to get my first interview for an entry-level job at a major bank. I went to that interview and got the job. I'm pretty sure they hired me because of my language abilities. Hiring me is like hiring 3 people, even though I wasn't even getting paid more. I started at the bottom doing customer service in the investment department and soon got promoted to investment sales representative. Basically, I had to cold call people and convince them to move money into our bank. So yeah, if you get a random call from a bank asking you to invest money, that could be me. Overall, I had a great time working with my colleagues and my boss was amazing, but I hated the job itself. I didn't feel fulfilled at all, and plus some clients were a pain in the butt. Anyways, after working there for 2 years, I eventually decided to quit. If you want to know why I quit or why I didn't feel fulfilled, I kind of explained it in a previous video on finding your passion, so feel free to watch that. When we're talking about studying, working, and living in a foreign country, the question that may come up is, how do you deal with cultural differences? I live in Toronto. Toronto is one of the most multicultural cities in the world. Almost 50% of the population is foreign-born, including me. So yeah, I wouldn't say I feel like an outsider that much, because after all, when half of the population is from somewhere else, you don't really feel that special as a foreigner here. But of course I do experience cultural differences on some level since I did spend the first 18 years of my life in China. The most notable one is expression, like how you express your emotions. I think in Chinese culture we tend to be a bit more reserved. Like, I don't get overly excited, doesn't matter how excited I actually am. This is my excited phase. But people here are different. They are very expressive. Like, if you run into someone on the street, they'll be like, "Oh my god, hi! How are you?" And I'm like, okay, it's not like I'm not excited to see you, it's just that I am physically incapable of expressing my emotion like that. So yeah, that's always been a bit awkward for me, and I don't think I can change that, nor do I want to. That's just the way I am. I kind of made fun of that in one of my theater shows. The show was actually about cultural differences.
In Canada, if you're not 大大咧咧 then you must be 害羞
I think that's a pretty accurate depiction of how I feel here. Like, people may mistake your reservedness as being shy. I have the exact same personality in China and no one would ever call me shy. So yeah, I think that's a pretty big difference. It's all about perspective, you know what I mean? Another scenario where I see cultural differences is dating. It's very common to date interracially here, and depending on which country you're from, your views on relationships and marriage could be vastly different. But generally, people from the West tend to settle down a bit later in life, usually after 30. But in Chinese culture, if you are a woman and you're above 25, you're basically old as dirt, and your family is gonna pressure you to get married. Again, it's about perspective. I am pretty firm on this one. I don't think you should settle down just because you've reached a certain age. It's not like you can control when you meet the right person. Moving to Canada may have been a rushed decision, but marriage is the one decision I would not rush. Another question you might want to ask is, do you feel lonely living alone in a foreign country? Well, my answer might be a bit biased because I am a loner. I actually enjoy being alone quite a lot. Some people automatically assume just because you're alone, you must be lonely. That's absolutely not true. Being lonely and being alone are two very different things. Actually, the first year I came here, I was very active in my social life. I would go out to parties all the time because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. But I never really enjoyed it. And I slowly started to realize it's okay to choose to be alone. I could feel very lonely in a crowd, and I would much rather just read a book in my room. I remember reading this random article saying these are the things you can challenge yourself to do alone. And on the list it says going to a restaurant alone. And I remember thinking, really? That's what I do all the time. I thought that's a normal thing that everyone does. Shouldn't have read that article. Now I realize going to a restaurant alone is not normal. Like I said, I live alone, I don't have any family here, and if I'm ever in a relationship, it's usually long distance. I used to have a few good friends here, but they pretty much all moved away now. Occasionally I'll hang out with my one best friend that's left, who doesn't even live in the same city as I do anymore. So yeah, nowadays I spend most of my time alone, and I'm pretty used to it. I think the best part about being alone is I get to put all my energy into doing what matters to me. All these years I've either been working on my school or on my work or pursuing my passions, so I actually keep myself quite busy. Like right now, even if I've been quarantining alone for over a year, I get to put all my energy into doing what I love, which is making videos. And now I also have you guys. So the majority of the time I wouldn't say I feel lonely. Of course I do feel lonely sometimes. If I ever feel lonely, it's usually because I am not feeling fulfilled. The loneliest I felt was when I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. So I was looking for external things or people to fulfill me. Now I'm starting to think loneliness has nothing to do with whether you're with people or not. It has everything to do with yourself. If you can truly enjoy your own company, you won't even need to be with people to feel less lonely. Well, if there's one thing I learned about being alone, it's this. Don't make friends because you feel lonely. Make friends because you genuinely appreciate that person. Same thing with relationships. Don't be with someone because you need to fill a void. Be with someone because you genuinely feel love for that person. There's no other half. You are a whole person. You're not split in half. Anyway, that's my wisdom of the day. Okay, I gotta go. Next time I see you, I will be in China. Well, if my flight didn't get cancelled, of course. I had to book 3 tickets for this because you never know what's gonna happen nowadays. One of my flights was actually cancelled. So, fingers crossed, this all goes smoothly. I'm going to be vlogging the whole process, but I doubt I'll be able to upload any videos with the shitty Wi-Fi in my quarantine hotel. Please wait for me. Once I get released from my quarantine, I'll be back. Until then, take care, and I'll see you on the other side of the globe.